threat of novel or new coronavirus. Take the following steps to help avoid the spread of all respiratory viruses. Wear a mask around others. Stay 6 feet apart. Limit your exposure and visits to others. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects or surfaces such as remote controls and doorknobs. Wash your hands often and use hand sanitizer. And testing if you have symptoms or have been around someone who's tested positive for COVID-19. For more information, call 206-477-3977. That's 206-477-3977. This has been a message of Seattle King County Public Health.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey, Charles Edwards, Seniors Matter. We're live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your community radio station. You can also listen to us on the Rainier Avenue Radio App and Alexa. You can view us on YouTube, Twitch, and of course, facebook.com/rainieravenueradio.world/videos. Seniors Matters invites a variety of guests to discuss issues and activities that may impact the lives of older adults and their families. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section on Facebook, or you can call 206-290-9685. With a natural sense of adventure, my guest has worked as a traveling physical therapist in remote areas such as Alaska, rural Colorado, and towns throughout the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to the show, Kaela Pauly.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Kaela, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk to you guys today.
Great. So let's jump into it. So what does ergonomics mean?
Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful. So ergonomics is it is a mouthful. It is really an applied science that deals with the design and setup of a workstation with the goal of trying to reduce stress on someone's body, risk of injury, and then post-work fatigue. So making the work as efficient as possible.
So now, can you get any kind of injuries from poor desk ergonomics?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you the top, but this is not an all-inclusive list. The biggest things that I see, I would probably say, is low back pain is absolutely a huge one. Neck and shoulder pain. And then with typing, with clicking, carpal tunnel. I'm sure a lot of people who have worked with clicking the mouse over and over again, you can get those tendinitis sort of things. So,
right.
Eye strain, headache, migraines, just from the bright light and constantly looking at the screen.
Is that where blue light gets involved?
Yes. Yeah, that's where the type of light that's emitted from the computer can sometimes be agitating to someone's nervous system. Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge problem.
I know. And just to give you guys a little background, I know Kaela. She was my, as I say, dizzy therapist. Last year, or actually I guess the year before it started. I had vertigo and I had no idea what that was about. And I went to see her and she explained a lot to me and helped me. And I tried to follow the guidelines, especially about not staying on your computer more than an hour before going to bed because of the blue light.
Yes.
And I do. Oh, and Kaela, I got new glasses. So they have the blue light.
The filtering.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. I can see the blue reflection on the glasses a little bit. So that's fantastic. Reducing that blue light is really important, as you know, to avoid some of those vestibular-like symptoms, that dizziness, that vertigo, eye strain. So I always encourage people who are on computers for prolonged amounts of times to either dim the blue light on the computer or to get the blue light glasses.
Yeah. So how prevalent are work-related injuries in the United States?
Yeah, this was kind of shocking when I was looking into this, but just in the US alone, every year there's about 1.5 million new workers' comp cases that are open. And so that doesn't include cases that were open the year before. So it is very prevalent. And really bringing it to the forefront today is with everyone being sent home to work with COVID. What we have found is that things are actually skyrocketing in terms of complaints. So there was a recent survey that was put out of May of last year to workers who were new to working to home. And about 50% of those workers said that they were experiencing some sort of pain sitting and working. And what was really shocking was that 71% of those patients complained that the pain was new since starting to work from home. So clearly it's a work environment issue. It is a huge problem. About 1/3 of all time off of work is actually attributed to workers' injuries, or pain that people are experiencing. So it's really prevalent.
I was just thinking about my husband. He works from home and he's an executive. In fact, he's number 2. And he finally, because he was having pain, he finally had to have his desk sent to the home, because he has one of those where you push the button and the desk goes up and down. So, and then he just bought a new seating device, which you would love, because it's that one that's like a stool, like you're in a saddle on a horse.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, appropriate office equipment is going to be key. And we'll get into that later about what do you want to look for in a desk, in a chair, so that I want to give people an idea of what they can start doing now. Particularly those of you who are in pain or having issues with that. So yeah, the equipment is critical.
For sure. So, let's see, what are the financial implications of working in a ergonomical friendly work environment?
I love this question, because I think a lot of people go, does this really matter? And there's really good research that says, yeah, ergonomics is very important. So if you look at really big companies like Liberty Mutual and Goldman Sachs, they have a lot of employees that all they do is desk work, right? So both of them created separate studies. And what they found is that the more money that they invested in their ergonomic programs and the more comfortable that their employees were working, the value of their stock price actually went up.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, the value of the company went up. So what I tell people is that if you set yourself up to be comfortable, you're going to work more efficiently. You're going to have more productivity. You're going to be less fatigued. A lot of times people think more clearly. So the decisions that they're making are more appropriate and efficient, and it will financially pay off for you and for the company. But mostly for the person. That's what I tell people, is that if you want to work smarter, not harder, ergonomics is the way to achieve that.
I love that. If you're just tuning in, you're listening live to Seniors Matter with your host, Brenda Charles Edwards, on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your community radio station, every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can hear us on the Rainier Avenue Radio app, Alexa. You can see us YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. Seniors Matters provides you with information about resources that can benefit you and your family. Speaking of community, if you're interested in knowing what's the best gift you can give yourself and your loved ones, join me on Zoom for a group or individual session on end-of-life planning. Call me at 206-683-2636. Now back to my guest, Kaela Pauly. Her travel opportunities provided her with invaluable experience in outpatient, inpatient, and home health settings. So Kaela, are there postures that you can sit in besides the 90-90 or power zone that you've talked about with me? And now we're going to show our guests.
Yeah. So I'll quickly go over what the power zone posture is, and then we can talk about maybe variations of that. But this is a really basic nutshell of ergonomic friendly posture. And I do want to make this clear that this isn't going to work for everyone. You got to customize it to your body. So, I did put my contact info on this picture on the lower right corner. So if you are having pain and you try this and this isn't working, that's okay. This is just one of many options, and it's usually a good starting place. Okay. So if you look at this gentleman, the big thing that I want to point out about is that most of his joints are bent in a 90-degree manner. So if we start at his feet, notice his feet aren't dangling. His feet are either going to be flat on the ground, and if they can't be flat on the ground, then you need to put something underneath your feet. That has huge implications for your back, for knees, hips, and ankles. Okay. So even the ankle here is bent at a 90 degree. And if we go up to the knees, they're also bent at 90 degrees. And if we keep going, if we go to the hip and the leg, you can see he's sitting at a 90-degree angle. And then we've got a 90-degree bend in the elbow. Wrists are nice and straight. So this 90-degree posture is where our bodies work the most efficiently and with the least amount of effort. So here's an example. If you take a 5-pound weight and you hold it out away from your body, and then you take that 5-pound weight and you hold it in at 90 degrees, you're going to notice immediately that it's so much easier to hold that weight closer to your body. Okay, so the power zone is this 90-degree angle. And if people really want to try to start thinking about ergonomics, this is a great place to start. Adjust your chair, your table, get a footrest so that things are in 90 degrees. So again, this is not the only posture. There are standing postures. There's, a reclined posture. The 90-degree angles still kind of apply. So even if you're reclined, you can still have things in 90 degrees. If you're standing, you can still have your elbows bent at 90 degrees. So there's different positions, but this 90-degree rule is usually pretty stuck by just because of the efficiency of how our muscles work here.
So Kaela, with this 90 degrees, where is your wrist? And be up higher? Because I'm at my makeshift desk right now, and I'm trying to do this 90 degrees, and I'm thinking, well, my wrists are hanging off.
Yeah. So this is where you have to start adjusting things, because if you just try to put yourself in this 90-degree position without adjusting things, you might be shrugging, your hands might not be on the table comfortably. So I'm going to start with the chair first. So you want to get a chair that you can adjust the height of, and you want to adjust the chair and get yourself in this position with your chair first. Don't worry about your mouse or the keyboard or anything else. So you need an adjustable chair. And if you're going to sit, you need an office chair. And we can go further into detail, but those chairs are designed for prolonged sitting. Like I see people sitting on couches and dining room chairs, and it's just a nightmare for your back. Okay. So you adjust the chair, lower it down so that everything's at 90. Then what you want to do is then you can start thinking about your desk. So let's say your desk isn't adjustable. It's just stuck at one size. Then what you might need to do is you might need to consider, do I need to raise my chair? And do I need to put something underneath my feet to kind of lift you up to the height of that table? Okay.
Okay.
If your table is adjustable, great. This is going to be easier. You set up your chair, you get in this 90-degree posture, and then you just adjust the height of the table so that your forearms and arms can rest on the table in a 90-degree angle. So this is where it's really helpful to have someone come into your home and do this for you, because you're going to run into problems that, we've kind of figured out. And so this is where I tell people you may need someone to come in and say, this needs to go up, this needs to go down. We need to get this adaptive equipment to put your body into this position. But start with your chair, then adjust your desk. And once you're in this position, you can start to think about your mouse, your keyboard, and your monitor.
So Kaela, is this something that you could do to help them?
Absolutely. This I love doing this for people. So I will look at measurements. I will kind of show you, okay, your desk isn't adjustable. Do we need to get desk risers, like cheap little things that you can put under that rise up the desk? Or do we just need a more adaptable chair so that we can fit it to your desk height? So yes, this is exactly what we'll do. We'll tell you, we'll work with what you have and get you as good as you can get with the current equipment you have. And then if there's big things lacking, then we'll talk about this is top priority for purchasing. And we'll kind of go down that list. But my biggest thing I want to tell people is you should not be reaching for your keyboard. You should not be reaching for your mouse. It needs to be close to your body. You need to scoot that chair. And Brenda's gonna optimize right now.
Let me move my mouse over a little closer to my laptop here. Okay.
And it's just harder for your body to reach and manipulate things that are further away from your body. And this is the simplest mistake that I see people. I'm like, move your mouse an inch closer, and you've exponentially reduced the demand on your shoulder that has to reach every day for that mouse. And so these small things become very important because you're doing such high repetitions of the same thing. And so it adds up pretty quick.
So can I put a pillow behind my back like I have right now?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sitting in my office chair though.
Yep, absolutely. So you can get creative with it, but yes, the big thing with the chair, I'm just going to kind of throw this in, is it needs to have a backrest, and you need to be able to lean back turn off your back muscles and relax. Okay. So if your chair, for some reason, the angle isn't working, put a pillow back there. But this is where I tell people, if you're going to invest in something, invest in an office chair, because you can get chairs that adjust in height, that adjust width, that adjust until you can customize everything so that it really fits your body, because one size does not fit all.
That's for sure.
Yes.
So what about sitting on exercise balls, or are there other dynamic surfaces like cushions?
Yeah, I love this question because this is a big issue I run into. Is there's this myth that if you sit on the exercise ball, it's going to make your back feel better because you can shift and move and you're not sitting still. So I'm going to completely destroy that myth. There is really not true. Research just recently came out that actually showed that when people sat in a normal chair with a backrest versus an exercise ball or a cushion, that the people that chose those more dynamic surfaces, the ball and cushion, they either had the same amount of back pain or worse. So it is not better. Here's the key. You need a chair that has a backrest. If you're sitting on a ball, there is no way for your back to relax. And it's just going to be clenching and turned on the entire time that you're working. So I always poo-poo that. I tell them, like, leave that for, take your ball, your cushion, and leave it for exercise.
But the chairs, the stools that don't have a back, but you sit like a saddle, how does that work differently?
Well, it's not for everyone. I will put it this way. And again, this is where customization comes in, because if, let's say, you don't have back pain, but maybe you have issues in your knees or hips, then sometimes that saddle shape can be better because it improves circulation and flow through the legs versus like sitting in a chair where it's bent. So it depends on what your issue is. That's going to determine what's right for you. So someone who truly has a lot of low back pain, I'm not putting them in a stool. I am putting them in an office chair that is very adjustable so they can constantly be moving like I am, and that they can rest their back. If someone doesn't have any low back pain and their issue has nothing to do with their back, then we can start thinking about, okay, maybe we can try different chair options if something else is bothering you. So it really depends on what your body is telling you. So no rule is like 100%. There's always people who are going to have exceptions to that. But for the majority of people, I usually do not give them a stool. I want them to have something that they can rest that back on.
So do you like the stand-up desk?
Yeah, this is another great question. I do like stand-up desks because it allows you to change your position. And if you stay in one position for 2 or more hours a day, that position starts to become a risk of giving you an injury. So if you have a stand-up desk, you can move around a lot. But here's my caveat with this. If you stand all day, your body is not going to like you and you're going to have pain. If you sit all day, your body is not going to like you. So what we found in the research is that standing and sitting all day, not good, because you're still in one position. So what's the most optimal is that you change positions. You do a combination of sitting, standing, and moving. All the research can agree that changing your posture is the most important thing. So here's a ratio I'll give people so they can kind of start conceptualizing this. 28-2. 20 minutes sitting, 8 minutes standing, 2 minutes moving. What we find is when people follow that or somewhat close, that's when they feel the best. So just don't go stand all day because you won't like me if I make you do that as well, because that also puts pressures on different parts of your body. So you need to change the position frequently.
So what about crossing your legs or crossing your ankles while you're sitting at your desk? Does that do any harm?
So here's my thing. It really depends on how long you're doing that activity. So if I'm sitting for hours in a meeting, I'm kind of going to be shifting just like you just did. I'm going to cross one leg over. I'm going to cross the other. It's fine. But if you find yourself sitting cross-legged for an hour or two, not the greatest, because it does twist you a little bit. So here's the key. If you're going to cross your legs, cross your right leg over for a little bit and switch it. Cross your left leg over. Make it symmetric or equal, because if you always have your right leg over, it does things to your right back. It does things to your right hip. So no, it's not bad. You just don't want to stay there again. So what the research says is you don't want to be crossing your legs for 2 or more hours a day. If you hit that 2-hour mark with a certain posture, that's when it's going to make you susceptible to having an injury.
So why do you only get 2 minutes to move?
Well, that's a good question. And the research is still kind of split on this a little bit. So that ratio, I want to just say, isn't this hard ratio. It's just the ratio that has the most amount of research from it. And what we just found with that particular ratio was that people's pain levels tended to be the lowest. So, I don't know if I can say specifically, why is it 2 minutes? It's just what the research says, that little bit of movement makes a huge difference. But this is what I would hypothesize, is that when you move, you increase your blood flow and your circulation. And so by getting even that brief amount of movement, you're moving fluids and things in your body. And that's going to really help with, getting blood flow and oxygen and nutrients to the whole part of your body.
Gotcha. So Kaela, can you talk about when you said, the chair is really important, but you also said your desk is. So what type of desk should we be looking for? Because, if you're working from home because of COVID, you may not already have a desk.
Right. And I've had people working on kitchen counters. I've had people working on coffee tables. I'm like, oh man. So if you really want to invest money and that's an option for you, or you have a company that's willing to give you money, I would say that the best thing to do is have an adjustable desk, a desk that will move and so that you can frequently change your position. So again, adjustability is key. You need the equipment to fit you, not for you to fit the equipment.
Right.
So adjustability, even if it's not adjustable, if you can get risers that you put under the legs of the desk, that's probably just fine as well. But here's the number one thing about a desk is depth. You need to have enough room that you can scoot your chair under, rest your whole forearm on, have your computer scooted back and your keyboard. And if you don't have enough room, that's a big problem, because then you're going to start pulling away and you're going to have to start reaching for stuff. So you need, I would say, at least a depth that has ideally like 3 feet or more. That's kind of my minimum. So depth, adjustability, and height. Those are really the 2 things that you want to look for in your desk. It's not too complicated besides that. You just need to have room for your stuff. If you're feeling crammed, it's going to make you bunch up, and that's going to cause some tension. So that's what I think about with desks.
So if you have the adjustable desk and you're in the standing position,
yes,
are you still doing the 90-90?
Yeah, this is a great question. So let's talk about how you determine the height of your table. So you adjust your chair, you get your body into that 90 degree, your feet are supported, knees, hips, everything's bent. And what you want to do is you want to measure the distance from the bottom of your elbow when it's bent at your side. So I'm going to actually kind of stand up. So I'm going to turn.
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah. So you're going to you're going to measure from here all the way down to the floor when you're standing, and you're going to subtract 2 to 3 inches from that height. And that's going to be the height of your desk when you stand. When you sit, you're going to measure the bottom of your elbow bent at 90 degrees to the floor. And you're going to subtract 2 to 3 inches from that. But remember, you have to get your body into that 90 degree position first before you will be able to get an appropriate measure. Does your chair need to go higher? That's going to change the measurement, right? So that's why I tell people, always adjust your chair first and then worry about the desk second.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's a key one. And you can Google that. That's a pretty common equation. Again, 90 degree elbow, measure the distance, take away 2 to 3 inches. That's kind of a very simple way for you to calculate that.
So Kaela, I don't know if the screen was large enough for people to see your contact information. So would you mind giving it to my audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So email or phone works great with me. So you can reach me on my company's cell phone at 425-300-0420. And you can see that at the bottom in my page here. You can reach out to me on my Facebook page, Kaela Pauly PT. And you can also reach out to me via email, which is kaela.pauly@gmail.com. And the Kaela is a little weird. It's Kaela .Pauly. So there is no Y in the Kaela. So I always just clarify that. Again, either of those options work well for me.
And she does okay, there we go. Ergonomics. Gosh, what Kaela? What? Okay, I know this. This is terrible. Ooh.
I got you. So
Yeah,
ergonomics. I do in-home ergonomic assessments. I will come to your house and do the measurements and tell you what you need, or I can do it via telehealth. You set up a camera. As long as I can see your workstation, we can sometimes accomplish that. And just to also let people know that I do in-home PT for orthopedic issues as well. And Medicare and Medicare with a supplement is actually really cheap with our company. We'll come to you, and it's around $30 to $50 a visit. So I know with COVID, it's really been hard for certain people to want to go out and access healthcare. So we have kind of made it our mission to make cheap visits that can be delivered to people's houses.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yep. I like that. Kaela, this has really been informative. Wow. Hang on a second. This is Brenda Charles Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. You've been listening live to us on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your community radio station, and on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're here every Friday live from 12:30 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time. To my audience, thank you for listening. And my thanks to Kaela Pauly. She's a wonderful person. She's a great dizzy specialist, and that's nothing personal. That's the title, because it was a dizzy clinic that I went to.
Yes, that is correct. I also do vestibular rehab. So you're right. Dizziness is in my wheelhouse.
Yes, it is. And I tell you, I'd heard about people having, vertigo, but never understood about it. And now that I've experienced it, if you guys ever need to have that taken care of, definitely see Kaela, because she will take care of you.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening, audience. Thanks, Mike. Thanks to Kaela. And be safe. The coronavirus update is next. Remember to live your life like it's golden.
Oh, yeah.